Hello, my magical nieces and nephews. It's your Aunt M. Still rocking the Catholic schoolgirl vibe. My goodness. And just letting you know, hopefully the next time you see a video from me, I will have my new recording space set up. I'm super excited about that. Um I'm really excited about this episode actually. So I am a 3/5 splenic projector. And what that means is my intuition does not always, you know, it's not always chattering in the background. It's maybe, you know, every blue moon it tells me something, but when it tells me something, I know it's going to happen. I know that it's in my best interest to listen. Um, at no point in time am I like, oh, I know better than this. I used to, you know, be a little put off by the fact that my intuition didn't always, you know, appear. And I remember someone would be like, oh, just tap into your intuition, see what it says. And my intuition wouldn't say anything. It would just kind of be quiet. And I was like, oh my God, what does this mean? Is this, is this a bad thing? Like, I didn't know. And so what has happened is I have learned through human design to really um not look to how my intuition is and wish it were something other than it actually is. So someone who has, you know, that running chatter in the background, maybe, maybe they have other things that they can't do. I would just much rather have something be like, yeah, this is the way that it is. Go forth. And my intuition feels more like someone's grabbing my shoulder, or sometimes it feels like a pinch. It's not necessarily, love and light. It's very negative. It tells me no a lot of times. Like, I know when someone's about to lose their job at my company. Not that it happens very much, but I'll know when someone's getting the boot. I'll know when someone's about to get a divorce. I know when someone's lying. I know when someone doesn't have, is drowning in debt. So a lot of those things I know, and I can't explain how I know, but I just know. And so my intuition will tell me just no flat out about a lot of things. So you may have the same thing, or maybe your intuition comes to you in different ways. And I'm just here to say that all intuition is valid. Especially if you're a beginner witch like I was and you talked yourself out of knowing things. And like my household growing up was chaotic. Like I'll never forget, I was having nonstop dreams about my dad, you know, um, always doing bad things. And then I kept on having, when I was in 6th grade, I would have a dream that there was a baby boy in um in our front garden. And he was all dressed in white and I could see his face. And I knew it wasn't from my mother, but I knew it was from my father. And I remember asking my dad, did you have another baby? Why do I keep dreaming that there's another baby? And I would ask my mother, and I'd get a smacked bottom for it. And it would just be like, I'm just asking a question. And it turned out that my dad had another child. And then that was devastating to our family, really broke it up. And then a few years later, I was still a teenager, and this little girl was at a family party. And I looked at her and I was like, oh my God, you're a sister. You're a half sister. And then I saw her, and then I saw her sister. I was like, oh my God. And then I dragged my full blooded sister into the bathroom and I go, Papa had more kids. Those are our like sisters. She was like, no, what are you talking about? Those are our god sisters, not our real sisters. I was like, no, those are. And they did not really look at like us, but I was like, I knew it. So And then I knew when my mother was gonna die of cancer. I knew how old she was gonna be, how old I was gonna be, how she was gonna go. I knew my dad was gonna cut me off financially. I mean, he had cut me off emotionally years before, but financially, he cut me off. Um, and it was just, oh my god, it was devastating. And each time it was like, "Oh my god," and I'll never forget the day that I felt my mother passing, and something came to me, as like, "Your mother's passing now," and I was like, "Fuck you, da 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 da." Because at that point, it was like, my god, I thought intuition was supposed to be, light and fluffy and like a kiss from a kitten, not everything always being bad news. And so, it took me a long time to accept that intuition is just different for every person. Not every person's gonna like a song. Like, I think coconut is disgusting. And I think if we really know what our intuition is, we can learn how to better work with it and make our lives a little bit easier and better and more magical. So, I'm going to talk about the different types of intuition that we have today. I'm going to go through them. I have my trusty notes. So if you see me looking down, yes, I'm trying to. My God, I have such a chubby face. I promise you, you guys, you know, I just do. I just look huge on camera, but whatever. Okay. So there are 7 types of intuition, okay? 7, and they can be combined. And I'm going to show you a little exercise to do for each of them. And then we're also going to try a couple of things here. So the very first type of intuition that we're going to talk about is clairvoyance. Um, and it could just be flashes. There was a girl that I worked with, and I used to just see her, and her name was Edie. And I would just see her, and I just saw her in this giant showgirl outfit. And I told her one day, I said, "I don't know if this is weird, but every time I see you, you're in a showgirl outfit. And, it's like a really skimpy one." I go, "You look fabulous, but," she goes, "How did you know?" And I was like, "What do you mean, how did I know?" She goes, "I used to be a stripper, and now I'm trying to go clean and sober." She goes, "Did you tell anybody else?" I was like, "I haven't." I operate on the Mafia code of silence, which is what, am muerta, and so I don't say shit. I, in fact, am known for keeping a tight lip, so if you've been to rehab, if you've been on a 5150, if you are in the witness protection program, like, I'm here for all that. So it doesn't have to be a very long vision. It can be like a short burst, but you very much see it. And my one piece of advice for this type of intuition is, unless someone seems to be open or verbalizes that they're open, don't share with them. I was at a doctor's one time, and one of the people there had just had an abortion. And I just kind of saw it in her crying, like, alone, and I was like, and then she started telling me about how she had had an abortion when she was 18 and that Jesus was gonna forgive her, and I was like, "Okay." She goes, "Why did I feel like you knew that?" And I was like, "I don't know," you know? So if you see something, say something if you think it's going to be welcomed. Obviously, if you see some sort of abuse or children being hurt, do your best to bring it up. The only danger with that is, my mother was very physically and emotionally abusive. And anytime anyone brought it up to her, like, "You're hitting her too much, you're hitting her in public, you're punching her in the head on the way to school," she didn't like being called out. And then I would get the abuse worse later. So be very, very careful when calling out someone for being abusive, because they can hurt the child even worse, or, in the worst ways of all. So make sure um, you can talk to someone, whether it's someone at work or a school counselor or whatever, if you really see something really bad going on. Um, so we kind of have a responsibility when we're really clued in with our intuition, that when something like that pops up, we have to kind of do something about it, because that is a cry for help from someone who is terrified. So, you know, if there's a situation, you can email me at howtobecomewitchpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's howtobecomewitchpodcast@gmail.com. I will be more than happy to see what we can set up for you. Be that as it may, that's clairvoyance. Clairaudience is when you hear. So this kind of is a little scary for some people because sometimes it comes in whispers or shouts. And it's when you hear things, maybe you hear conversations from another room, maybe you hear a whisper from your ancestors or your grandma or Mima or whatever. So it can be scary for this to happen. Um, and the way that I have been telling, Coven members this week is if you can feel it in your body, it's good. But if it's like just whispers, it may just be a random, watcher passing by. But you will kind of hear things that maybe other people won't hear, or there'll be a part in a song that really strikes you, or maybe a musical note that you're like, oh my God, that's incredible. So it's either you hear something or like you really feel the music. That's clairaudience. Clairsentience is a feeling, your gut feeling. Oh my God, I felt it in my gut. I had butterflies. I had this, that, and the other. Clairsentience is very strong feeling. Um, and it's not always a good thing. Like, um, I one time, when the last time we came back, we went to New Orleans, my best friend and I, and then we came back and I stepped on the plane and I was like, there was so much screaming in here just now. Like I felt it deep in my bones, all those screams. And then the flight attendant was like, yeah, the last flight was really choppy. And he, he was like, I was very scared. Okay. Very, very scared. And I was like, okay. And I couldn't get a sense of how bad the turbulence was gonna be on the way back to Miami from New Orleans, but I had felt all the screams in there earlier, and apparently oh my god, I'm so terrified of turbulence. So apparently oh my god. So apparently the plane dropped a couple of times, and I think I've told this story on here before, but the worst turbulence I felt is when I was going to Japan when I was, like, 32. And the connecting flight had been missed for more than half the plane, so we just had enough people to take off, and then as we were I can't remember which country we were over, we had the worst turbulence, and the flight attendant came and checked on me afterwards, and she was like, "We should be okay now, but I just wanna let you know I was scared too." And I was like, "Great," because I tutored a homeschooled kid, and the mom used to say, "If the flight attendants are scared, that's when you need to be scared, but otherwise, it should be fine." I was like, "Okay." So that I felt the screams. Clear cognizance is just knowing. So I feel a lot of times, um that we dismiss this because, life isn't easy. And sometimes the people that we really feel um, should be in our corner, or someone that we've felt very strongly about and super helpful with, that they should be on our team, they should be cheering for us. And when you get that sinking, just knowing that someone is not on your side, or knowing that someone's been talking shit about you, or knowing that someone doesn't feel the same as you do, it's a terrible feeling. But you're going to feel good things and bad things in life. And this is just one of those things that, you know, it's hard to feel a hard feeling. It really is. And then sometimes, we talk ourselves out of it. We'll be like, no, 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 that's my best friend. She wouldn't say that about me, or no, we're friends. Like, we went through the pandemic together. There's no way, our dogs are friends or whatever. And it's sometimes these feelings are really hard to digest. Um, take a bath, a salt bath, really kind of sit with it, because as hard as it is for you to feel those feelings, it's going to be harder for you to be caught off guard. And I feel one of the worst things in the world is feeling blindsided. Like, that to me is just the worst feeling. And I actively work with everyone to know that I'm not gonna blindside them or they're not gonna blindside me. I'm very as far as I perceive myself, very even-tempered, so, I'm not all of a sudden gonna wake up one day and be like, "You know what? Fuck this person." I mean, unless I've got a psychic hit. So, you know, if you get a psychic hit and it's like, and I call them downloads. If you get a psychic hit and it's just a knowing, lean into it, because a lot of times your intuition is trying to help you, not hurt you. So digest those really hard feelings, and it is really, really hard when you just know, like when you know a relationship is ending, a friendship, when you're not going to get, you know, the deal that you want, when, your dog has just taken a turn for the worse. Like, you know, I remember when my mom died, I had taken my nephew to gymnastics and I just knew she had died. And everyone was like, no, she's going to get better, this, that, and the other. And I just knew she had died. So, and that was when I was 23. And then I knew she had died and I knew that 9/11 was going to happen, but I did not know that it was going to be called 9/11. I just knew that when my mom died, a whole bunch of other people were going to die. And it was, God, it was just a horrible feeling. So sometimes you'll just know things and they'll be horrible. This is something that I don't know if I've outgrown or something that's taken a different shape, but Claire Alliance is smelling things and knowing things. So my first novel, Winter's Mermaid, available on Amazon. Um, it's about a girl who can smell emotions, and she talks about, how different things smell. Um, and it is, um, I don't know. I would say I would smell it on her. I would smell the jealousy. I would smell the betrayal. You know, it just, you could smell different things. And that's why, like, I have an aunt, my Aunt Margarita. I cannot stand her. I think she's very aggressively attention seeking all the time. And she has a scent to her that, like, anytime I'm near her, I'm like, "Oh god." And I haven't been I will see her maybe once every 10 to 15 years, but it's just, like, a very acrid smell. Like, it's that smell of, like, I don't know, just reeks of attention seeking, reeks of desperation. And it's like, you very much can smell things on people, good and bad. And like when you're really attracted to someone, their personal scent just really does it for you. Like, I remember I was dating this one guy and like he smelled very lemony and it was like crack to me. He smelled very, very lemony. He used no type of lemon in his routine, but I could smell it on him. And so for me, this is my favorite kind of psychic sense. And I had to kind of take a step back from it. And I'm not going to say that I outgrew it, but when I got long COVID, every single scent hurt my nose. And so I would smell things and I'd be like, you know, I wasn't sure. Sorry, that's my chef. I wasn't sure. Let me rephrase that. That's not my chef. That is the cook from my cantina. And I've asked them to make me gumbo this week. So she's texting me to make sure of all the stuff. Um, but Clairalience is that sense of smell. I think it's delicious. If you have that, send me an email at howtobecomewitchpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's howtobecomewitchpodcast@gmail.com. I really want to hear your experiences about them because I want to share some of mine. Claire Gustance is tasting. Oh, that left a sour taste in my mouth. ooh, she's so sweet, you know? Like, when you really feel, ooh, I can almost taste it. That's Claire Gustance, and that's delicious. What is it? I think that book was, like Water for Chocolate in the 90s, and it was about a girl who, like, her magic came through in her cooking. So I feel like if you're a really strong chef, like my best friend, oh my god, her food is ah, her food is just delicious. So, I mean, it's just delicious. Ugh. She one time made avocado salmon toast, and it was just, oh, it was so good. So I feel like a lot of, like, really strong cooks, like, really stellar cooks have Claire Gustance, and that's super cool. And then Claire Tangency, which is okay. Psychometry is just knowing things by touching them, okay? So I did a workshop with a medium. I can't remember his name. I could see him because he was very flamboyant. And part of the workshop was um taking people's jewelry. And at the time I didn't wear jewelry. Um, how very Carolyn Bessette Kennedy of me. But I didn't wear jewelry. And even now, like this is just what I wear for recording days and on Saturdays. Um Love that, right? I got that for myself for Christmas. And then my third eye ring, which I love. Um, and we would hold each other's jewelry and pick up stuff. And I remember there was one girl, sorry, lady, she was God, she was like 60 or something. And she had me hold her engagement ring. And I remember looking at her and saying, I know this is a romantic ring, but I'm picking up something about you. And she was like, "What do you pick up?" And I said, "I don't know if this will make sense to you, but Barrett says you're a really good girl. You were the type of good girl that they should have written children's books about." And she had to go out into the bathroom and go out of the room, and she cried in the bathroom for 5 minutes. And I was like, "Oh, shit." That was the first time I had done something. She came back and she said, "My, my grandfather's name was Barrett." Or was it grandmother? So it was some grandparent, and, she said her mother was an alcoholic and used to hit her in the grocery store, saying she was a bad girl, and she was, like, 5 years old. She was like, "No, I'm a good girl." And so she goes, "Thank you for saying that." Um, I never felt recognized, and I was like, "Well, I have a recognition kink." So I feel that, and then some lady, I don't remember what we finally did to kind of get her to have something of mine. But what was it? I think I had to go into the store because it was at Five Sisters. I had to go to the store and buy something. And yes, and I rubbed my hands on it for a while so she could pick something up. And what she picked up was that I don't trust the universe. And she goes, and they're really pissed off at you because they tell you a lot of good information, you don't trust it. And that was before I figured out how my intuition worked. Um, so so yeah, no, that was pretty cool. So if you can see if you can do that with your friend group. See if, sometimes random people will let you do it. I'm going to caution this because I feel it's very important. I feel if I don't say something as like a PSA, I feel like I'm going to be failing you guys, especially as beginner witches. Do not fucking give people readings that you do not know. I had a friend, she did ayahuasca, and she would randomly go up to the people in my kickboxing class and other places and give them readings. And it was so embarrassing. And she was like, "Let me hold your hand," or, she'd go like this. I'm picking something up, and then she would talk, and it would be like, and one time she did it at my kickboxing class, And the person was like, "What the fuck?" None of it made sense. And I go, "I'm so sorry." I said, "She's just on ayahuasca. Nothing makes sense. She's a little bit Looney Tunes." And he was like, "You need to talk to her." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." So if you guys want to practice, then use the community time to practice. Okay. Um, yes, your friends or whatever you can ask, but don't ask random strangers. Like, you're gonna come across as Looney Tunes, and no, 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 no. So I'm going to let you guys, like I did with the auras, I'm gonna let you guys see what you pick up about me. So I'm gonna give you about 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes is a good enough time. I'm gonna check my text while you do that. I'm gonna put 2 minutes on the timer here. Okay. I'm gonna put 2 minutes here, and you're just gonna pick up whatever you can about me. And I'm very much a willing participant for this. Keep in mind that I do have a trap on my energy, so if you try to tap into me while I'm not cognizant of it, you're gonna get some sort of blowback. And it's a specific type of blowback, so that's my tell. So I'm gonna put the 2 minutes on my timer and see what you can pick up about me. Okay, go. Okay. Oh, I should have taken some grapefruit juice. So if you saw it, heard it, felt it, just knew it, smelt it, tasted it, or just, saw my ring and something came to you, um, email me or leave me a comment. Um, I'm actually curious to see what you guys pick up. But, you know, these are kind of the exercises that we're going to do during community time where we're going to be picking up things that we feel or sense or all of that. And we're going to really hone in on it. But I'd like to do that with you guys in person. So whatever shape your intuition takes, just go with it. And, I can't tell you how to feel good in your body, feel good in your intuition. That comes with time and experience. But see what works best for you. Like, I moved it over there. I take a Dr. Teal's sensitive skin coagul oatmeal and cucumber extract because I have super sensitive skin. I take a hot bath and hot Epsom salt bath every night. Almost every night, I go to the PARK multiple times a day with the dog, and I ground that way. So, this is just going to be the way that you feel, but I just kind of wanted to introduce this to you. And then the next time we have a workshop, it will, it'll be a good talking point. So I'm going to leave some links in the description. Follow me on TikTok and YouTube. I'm also going to leave the next workshop link. It's going to be the first spell workshop. So that should be fun. We're going to do it on Friday the 13th. Um, so we're going to have a good time. I'm so excited. I hope to see you guys all there. I'm going to leave this here because I think this was a lot for you guys. I know when I first started out, this was a lot. So I kind of want to give you some time to digest. But again, follow me on the socials. I'll leave them in the description. And email me and let me know. And of course, join the coven. It's only $2.99 a month. And, we're going to have a lot of one-on-one time. We're going to really kind of nurture your growth as a beginner witch. It's going to be really exciting. So I hope you have a magical week and I hope to see you at the workshop. Take care. Bye.